Hello everyone, Donna here, and today I'm doing a reading on Root Chakra work. As always, this reading is brought to you by my business, Reconnecting Essentials Readings, available on Etsy, as well as my website, reconnectingessentials.net. Feel free to check out the links below if you want a more personalized, individualized reading. Otherwise, we're doing a generalized pick a group reading. What you do is you go ahead and you take a moment, you take a breath, and then you try to figure out which one of the cards that are before you feel most drawn to or pulled to choose. Group 1, Group 2, or Group 3. And once you know this, there will be links to timestamps in the description box as well as a pinned comment. So go ahead, take a moment, take a breath, and try to decide which one it is you are feeling called to choose. And let's begin. All right, Group 1, let's go ahead and begin your reading. The first card we have here is the Seven of Wands, and this really speaks of success, speaks of rising above a specific event and getting to the other side of it. So you've reached a point where not only have you kind of experienced a personal victory, but you're at a point where you feel like you can now move beyond that. You've gone past the point of celebrating that victory, and now you're building the stepping stones, you're building the work, you're gathering the things that you need to now build upon that victory. So once you've conquered something, or you succeeded something, or you've completed something, you take the moment to celebrate and be excited and honor the accomplishment that you experienced. But then once that's done, it's time to move on to the next situation or the next step in that particular story. And this is what I'm experiencing from you. There is some root work that you have already been partaking in for you personally. And I feel that this has to do with how you feel on a very secure, very much feels like it is financial in a lot of ways. So however that applies to you in your life, but I feel that you have reached a point where you've kind of reached an aha moment. You've reached the completion of some work that allows you to feel like, okay, now you can close that chapter. Now you can go to the next step, the next level. Now you can pick up what you need that makes you to move on and to expand on that, which you have learned, what you have discovered about yourself. With that, we have the Devil card, and I feel this is just a message of making sure that you pay attention to your decisions as you move forward. There's a little bit of a hint of falling back into old patterns or old choices because they're comfortable, or there's a sense of security that comes with them because it's a decision or a choice or a lifestyle or habit that we're comfortable in. And it's not because you're seeking to return to that as much as it just kind of naturally happens sometimes. It's kind of like if you are walking in the woods, it's just natural to take the path that's already cut for you. And so there are some patterns or life cycles or decisions that you have a tendency to lean into if you're not conscientious of the choices when you take the step forwards. So it's not so much that you're seeking to return to these, old worn out paths, as much as sometimes if we're not paying attention and we're not being cognizant of our decisions, it's really easy for us to just automatically step into those patterns that have already been worn in, so that you just, it's less resistance until we, start to form the new pattern, until we start to form the new path. So there's a bit of a message here that's letting you know that you just have to be cognizant with the decisions and choices that you make, because if you're not careful, sometimes you might lean into something that feels familiar or feels like it is a good path for you, because it still is a little bit of that echo of the old vibrations which you have cut the ties to, but you can still hear the echo of it. So hopefully that makes sense. So just be very cognizant of your choices and decisions as you move forward. We have the Ace of Cups here, and it's just kind of letting you know to tap into your intuition. You have what it takes to be guided as far as the path that you're on and the new path that you're carving for yourself. Like I said, there just feels like you have completed something as far as how you feel secure in who you are and in your position in life. And it still feels new enough to you that you do question occasionally if you're making the right decision, and you're just being told to stick with your intuition. Be mindful of the decisions as they come up so that you know that you are sticking in the right path. You are not following footsteps in a path that's already been carved, but you are actually carving the path. But don't doubt your intuition. It's what has guided you to this point in your life. And so it is still there to guide you as you move through this. Hone your intuition if you have to. Make sure you take the time to hone that skill, but know that you have what it takes. The intuition that you have already had has led you to this point, and it's still there and it's still growing. And if you are tapping into that on a regular basis, your intuition will even let you know if you're starting to fall step into your old habitual pathways or path steps, and it'll let you know if you need to kind of be more cognizant. But just stick with your intuition. It's as new and as fresh as it feels. It's also something that has been there. It's just the cultivation has been new, but it's always been there for you. Your intuition has always been there for you, and it is what has guided you to this point. And we have the solar plexus chakra, and I feel this is really talking about boosting your self-confidence. Not looking outside for things to boost your confidence, but rather recognizing what you already are deep within yourself. Already have deep within yourself, what is already a part of who you are, what has always been a part of who you are, that makes you the wonderful, solid, confident person that you have always been. Tap into that and allow that to boost your confidence. Allow this new footing that you have, that you feel secure in, to kind of shoot a little extra boost, an extra shot of confidence into your solar plexus. The solar plexus has to do with that self-confidence, that self-empowerment. And so you just need to allow your self-confidence to feed that security that you've already sort of established, and then allow that security that you have established to feed your solar plexus, to feed the confidence and empowerment that you already have. We're getting a reiteration with the instinct card about your intuition. You already are connected. You've always been connected. You've always been guided. You can sit down and you can think of specific points within your life where you can recognize that you made seemingly spontaneous decisions because you felt so guided and so connected with that guidance that you knew the vibrations of it was such a hardcore truth that you couldn't ignore it. You knew that it was exactly what was authentically truth for you, and that's why you dove into it. That's why you went for it. You've experienced this authentic vibration of personal truth and intuition throughout your life, and some of the major decisions that you sort of other people might have considered you to have stumbled into or accidentally fallen into or were lucky, it wasn't nearly as much luck as they might have perceived it to be, and even you may have perceived it to be. It has actually been the intuition that you've always had. You've always had an instinct to guide you, and you followed it. And it's just a matter of really honing that skill and being confident in your ability, in your skill, and knowing that it's always been there and it will continue to be there for you to guide you as you make these decisions that make relatively, it seems like some decisions, by all of this, it feels like you're in the direction that might have like made decisions that in some aspects feel like they're huge decisions. But when you have this sort of confidence and you have this sort of self-rootedness, it doesn't feel as life or as drastic, life-changing. Like, you know that it's life-changing, but you feel secure in it because of how you're connected to the intuition and the guidance that you received that got you up to that point and that takes you beyond that point. So this is really sort of tapping into being secure in your sixth sense, and that has guided you all of your life, and feeling the confidence and the empowerment that has provided you in short bursts throughout your life, and allowing it to guide you as you move through from where you're at now, the work that you have put in right now and where it's going to lead. Allow it to guide you and take a burst of confidence from those experiences in your past where you have recognized it, and allow it to continue to lead you as you move forward. And finally, we have I am worthy, and I just feel like there's just a bit of sort of shakiness in self-confidence. Again, bringing up that solar plexus chakra card. Just, even though you know that you have a sense of understanding and a sense of divine guidance that you've experienced your whole life, and you feel like it's valid, and you've had these conversations with yourself, I feel that overall, though, you struggle with accepting it outside of your head, if that makes sense. So if you sit down and you meditate and you contemplate and you possibly even journal about this experience, you can take great confidence in all of this. But then once you leave that sacred space or that journaling or that meditation, some of that confidence seems to wane because there seems to be a bit of a just not nearly as confident in the value of that outside of your sacred space. And you're just being told that it is a worthy skill set. And it doesn't matter how you use it, as long as ultimately you're using it to help you guide yourself to your higher good and to whatever it is that you desire, your soul desires for in this life. So it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to suddenly go and use your intuitive skills to help others, but you can use this intuitive connection just to guide yourself in your life so that you're meeting your soul's purpose in this lifetime, in this time that you are here on earth. All right, group 1, that's all I have for you. I hope this message gave you everything that you were hoping for and more, and hopefully I will see you in a future video. Group number 2, let's go ahead and begin with your reading. And right off the bat, we have the Death card. And I feel that there has been some major shifts in your life, and there's a request for a major release to help you with your root chakra needs. So that need of feeling grounded, that need for feeling rooted that you've been seeking for, there's something that you're still holding onto that is kind of blocking your ability to move forward, to move to the next level, to expand this personal journey that you have been on. There's something that you're still holding on to, that you have a sense of comfort and how it defines you in some facet. So there's something that you feel is a very intrinsic part of your self-identity that you need to release, at the very least, the narrative that goes with that, so that you can get to the bottom or to get to a healthier point in your root chakra work that you may have been working on, or you may be considering on and working on. So it's not so much that you have to make a drastic change. It's not so much that you have to sever ties with people or sever ties with jobs. That's that kind of thing, unless that is something you have been working on. But there feels like there is a sense for some of you, it's just an identity that you attach to this. That's the hold up. So whatever part of your self-identity that you attach to, whatever this thing that you've been bumping up against, this wall that you have been bumping up against, you need to figure out how to sit with this and redefine your identity without it. And then once you get to that point, you can decide if this, whatever it is, can remain in your life, because you can continue with it without the self-identity attachment, or if it's something that once you relieve yourself of the self-identity weaving that's connected with it, is it something that can continue to serve you, or is that something that you need to move from completely? But ultimately, you got to the starting point is how this, whatever it is weaved or woven in with your self-identity. And there's an aspect of release that you have to go through if you are wanting to get to the next chapter or the next level of this part of your life that you have been working through. The Three of Swords talks about focusing or understanding the sense of reality that is necessary to move on. Facing, that's the word, not focusing. I knew it started with an F. So the Three of Swords is really speaking to that concept of seeing reality for what it is, just kind of the bare bones of the situation. And no matter how raw it can make you feel, if you want to move beyond this, it's something that needs to be done. It's something you need to face. And ultimately, the scenario or the analogy that I'm being given is sort of like if you have a wound, before you bandage that wound up, no matter how deep it is, you have to clean it first. And the truth of the matter is, when we clean a wound, a fresh wound, it hurts. hurts, it stings, it burns, but it's a necessary part to be able to heal from it, to give that wound the space it needs to heal. You need to first clean out the debris. You have to look at it closely, you need to examine it closely, and you need to cleanse it. And this is the sort of analogy that the Three of Swords is bringing to you. If you are at a point in your life where you're trying to really focus on balancing and healing your root chakra for you to be able to expand in your personal and spiritual individual growth at this point in time in your life, there is old wounds that you haven't had the opportunity or given the proper focus and cleansing. For whatever reason, that can be multiple reasons, and that's not something that this video is focusing on, but essentially there is a wound that you have experienced in your life, and it's time to face it, it's time to clean it so that you can heal it. And because of what I had already said about the Death card here, for the most part, it feels like there's whatever this wound is, however recent or long ago that this particular wound was, it does not matter. What matters is that evidently there's a part of you who identifies with this, and you need to be able to wrap your self-identity around this in a healthier manner. So you need to be able to address this, you need to be able to cleanse it, and then give it the space and whatever extra ointment or care that it needs in the healing process. This is where you're at, but you're not going to be able to address it appropriately if you don't face it, if you don't look at it, if you don't clean it, if you don't examine it. You will not be able to clean it properly, and you will not know what sort of salve or antibiotic or whatever, care treatment you need to apply to it. You will not know unless you face it. And this is where you're at. If you're looking for balancing or healing, and I feel that the appropriate word for you is healing with your chakra, with your root chakra. If you're looking for that, this is the starting point. This is where you're at. This is what you're facing. And eventually you'll get to that balance. You will get to the balance that you seek, that justice that you seek within yourself and beyond, in your environment, in your experiences. Your vibrational frequency will change because of this work, which means what you will be drawing in towards you as far as connections and relationships with yourself and with other people, and where that leads to you will all shift according to this particular work that you're doing. The sacral chakra is the next card that I have brought up. And so there's something that is going on with this that really sort of taps into that chakra that has to do with personal pleasure. And I feel that this has to do with how you personally define pleasure, as well as how you personally give yourself permission for pleasure. And I know the go-to thought for a lot of people is usually sexual, and that can be the case, but that's not the only aspect of pleasure. There are many different, various types of pleasure that we experience as a human, and the most recognizable or the most commented upon is sexual. But food is pleasure. The things that we buy is pleasure. The house that we know or we allow ourselves to live in, that we allow ourselves to buy, can be a form of pleasure. Sacred time, just having time by yourself can be considered a form of pleasure. And the thing that is being spoken about as far as this is concerned isn't so much the act of pleasure itself. You define that however it is, but it's directly linked to what kind of permission you give yourself for that type of pleasure. Do you allow yourself to fill up the bathtub and soak in it for an hour? Or do you feel like you have to get in and back out again? Do you allow yourself to buy that new blouse simply because it would make you feel emboldened and empowered because of the way you feel when you wear it? Do you allow yourself to read a book for 10 minutes before you go to bed at night? Or do you feel like you have to go to bed instantly? It's the little things like that. This feels like this is what it's talking about. And of course, if it is sexual, then that applies to you as well. Do you feel shame or guilt when you do certain acts? This is all something that you have to address, but it feels like it is all connected. And there is, like I said, there is a specific wound that you need to address. And in the process of facing the reality of that, cleaning it, cleansing it, and then finding out by the process of cleaning and cleansing it, what ointment you need to apply to it to help in the healing process. This is going to really awaken and create create a better balance and an ability to release the binds that this particular experience is having on you, the chains that this is having on you, the way it's holding you back, the blockages that you are experiencing. And it's manifesting a little bit in this element of what pleasures you allow yourself, or you give yourself permission for. We have the wisdom card next, and I feel like this is talking. I really feel the first thing that comes to my mind, the first thing that they said to me when I pulled this card was knowing who to contact. So whatever it is that some of this is, there is a select few of you, and you know who you are while you're listening to this. You need to seek outside assistance. And it feels like when I say outside assistance, I mean professional, someone who knows what they're doing in addressing this issue. You know how that applies to you, but be wise in how you address this. I'm also being told that shadow work, although it is beneficial, you have to be careful. Sometimes we drown in our shadow work when we're not careful. And this can happen to anybody. This is not just you who has experienced whatever you has experienced that is susceptible to this. Anybody who's experienced life in general who has shadows, and we all have shadows, you have the risk whenever you partake in shadow work and becoming overwhelmed and potentially drowned by your shadow work. So be wise in your addressing of this. And if you feel that you are being told by those who are on your side as far as a spiritual connection, or even those who know you on a personal physical level who say, hey, I think you need help, be wise about that. Address that accordingly so that you can move on, because I feel like you can really, it's not just a tiny baby step. If you manage to sit down and do the work with this, I feel like there's kind of going to be a huge momentum forward, like a giant leap forward if you can address this. But this is going to take a lot of energy, which is one of the reasons why I feel like it's kind of being pushed back, why you're sort of pushing back against it, is because you recognize the amount of energy that this is going to take, but it's going to be worth it. Just be wise. Be wise in your approach to this, and reach out if it's beyond your personal scope. When you feel like it's beyond your personal scope, you need to reach out accordingly. Next and finally, we have I am genuine. I feel like this is speaking about how you feel like the way that this has defined you, if you rewrite the storyline or rewrite the narrative, that somehow you're going to be not the same person, but in a way that feels less genuine. Like this has been such a part of your story. If you release it, then there's a self-identity crisis that you'll be experiencing. And the major message of I am genuine is to let you know, it doesn't matter whether you hold on to this or release it. You are who you are. You're a genuine person no matter what. You are who you are. But addressing this allows you to rewrite the narrative in a way that makes you continue being the genuine version of yourself, but in a healthier way with yourself as well as with others. But no matter what, you are a genuine person. You are authentic. Your path is authentic. And whether you continue to push back on this because you just don't feel like you're in a place where you can do the work that this is going to require of you, you're still genuine. If you do the work that this has you dive into, and you change as a result of it, you're still you. But your relationship with yourself is healthier as a result of the work that you have put in. All right, group number 2, I hope this reading helps you and gives you everything you were seeking and so much more. Hopefully, I will see you in the next video. All right, group number 3, let's begin with your reading. We are starting with the 3 of Cups. I feel like this is really letting me know that your root chakra focus right now has to do with connection and how you feel you receive support. And then what that means to you. So some of you feel like you are extremely supported by other people. Some of it family, some of it friends. Either way, it doesn't matter. You feel like you were supported, and you're starting to question if you are too reliant on that support. You are facing this moment of trying to reckon the amount of support you get and trying to decide, are the things that you have accomplished because of your support, is it because of you or is it because of your support? And then others of you are questioning about your drive and movement through life and how much support you may or may not have received. And I feel an overwhelming sadness because you feel like you haven't received the support. And if you had received support that you feel you should have, you would have reached a different part of your life by now. You would have advanced in your journey, your spiritual and individual journey in life. And first of all, I just want to say that ultimately, the work that you do, whether you get support or not, is valid in who you are. And whether you have support or not, you have accomplished what you have accomplished because you are who you are and because of your connections. And in general, there's just an overall message of kind of, because I touched on both angles of that, I feel like I need to make a note. I'm being told to make a note that if you received support, you'd still be questioning where you're at right now regarding the support you received. And if you did not receive support, you'd be questioning that. So it's just kind of letting you know that no matter what amount of support you did or didn't get, you're not alone in questioning where you're at and the advancement that you are at in your life right now and how that is reflective of both you and the support that you had. So I hope that makes sense. I feel like I was really kind of going around in circles and trying to come to a point to that, but I hope you get what I'm saying. It's kind of like one of those scenarios, the whole grass is greener on the other side, but so much more than that. It's more like, that person who, has straight hair and wishes they had curly hair, and the ones who have curly hair and wish they had straight hair. It's that sort of a scenario, and that you're just trying to figure out how that applies to you. And both of these are valid in your work, because eventually you'll get to a point where you will recognize yourself in that story. No matter how much support you may or may not have gotten as you advance to this point in your life, the truth of the matter is that you are who you are, and you were here because of the choices that you had made. You're still responsible for those choices. Whether you had support or not, you're the one who took yourself here. You can have someone giving yourself advice, and the truth of the matter is that you could ignore that advice or you could take it. But ultimately, the choice of doing either one of those is on you. So whether you had support or not, everything that you have done up to this point is because of you, because of the choices that you have made to bring you to this point in your life. We have the Ace of Wands, and I feel like this is really tapping into a new connection on the spiritual level. So you're facing some spiritual transformations. You're sort of wading through how you feel about your childhood perimeters of your spiritual makeup and trying to kind of weed and wade through what of those beliefs do you still cling to? What do you want to take with you? What do you want to release? But that you're kind of at a new stepping stone with your spiritual aspect. And it's amazing how we went from the Three of Cups really talking about support, and then we're going into spiritual aspect, and they seem unrelated, and I'm not getting a direct connection of how they're related, but I am being told that this is something, the relation between these two aspects are something that you're going to recognize as you move forward in your life, as you continue to make the decisions to kind of pull you forward and in the direction that you're going. How these are related to each other is going to become more opened and more obvious to you, but it's something that in time will happen. And they're reminding me of my own personal experience and how sometimes I'll do readings for myself and I will understand it, but then a year or two later in my spiritual journey, I'll have an aha moment, and the depth of understanding of an old reading that I had received takes a whole new meaning at a whole new level that really helps me to expand to a newer, bigger level. So, but ultimately, I feel like there's a transformation. Shedding of skin is something that comes to mind. So that sort of major transformation that has you shedding the old to go into the new. This is what I'm being told you're going through. This is what I'm being told you're experiencing. And it has to do with how you feel secure in yourself. As far as moving forward, stepping forward. We have the World card, and I feel like this is really talking about how you're moving in a direction that's going to create a new world for you that has you feeling excited, that has you feeling like you finally have reached that point where you understand your purpose, you understand the decisions that you have made up to this point. So obviously there's a connection with decisions, and as far as, because the message that I got with the Three of Cups had to do with recognizing and validating all the decisions that you have made, whether you received support or not, are valid and are of you. But this is all taking you to a point like the work that you'll be doing as far as the spiritual transformation of shedding the new to move in, shedding the old to move into the new, and recognizing the validity of you within your life cycle is kind of opening up new doors into a world that is just going to create expansion and sort of a level of self-embracing that you have been seeking. And you're finally going to reach that point. And we have the base chakra, which is the root chakra, which is what I am tapping into when I'm talking about this. So you are actively participating in root chakra work right now that is really kind of coming together to explode into or expand into this new direction that's going to make you feel like you finally understand everything. Like it's going to all come together with a level of understanding that makes you feel secure and embrace yourself at a new level. We have the card for forgiving next. And I feel like, again, this has to do with that facing that self-validation, recognizing that no matter how much help you may or may not have gotten, that the decisions that you have made that have led you up to and through this have always been of you. And just, there's a level of self-forgiveness. And I feel like this has, again, I feel like the forgiveness has to do with self specifically, or for the bulk of you at any rate. The forgiveness has to do with some sort of forgiveness that you need to experience of yourself. Forgiving yourself of something that you haven't given yourself credit for, or you haven't recognized of yourself, or you haven't embraced of yourself. This is a point of where it's a point of expansion. Like I said, shedding the old to move into the new, and creating that world based on recognizing that, the validity of who you are and have always been, recognizing who you are now and all the decisions that you have made to get to this point. And we're ending with the card of I am bold. And it's just, again, there's just this whole really large level of self-embracing that allows you to recognize yourself at a level that makes you feel powerful, makes you feel like you are empowered with the decisions. You'll recognize the validity of who you were and existence of all the decisions that you have made throughout your entire life. And you'll be emboldened by that, knowing that as you move forward, no matter how much support you may or may not receive as you move forward, it doesn't matter, because ultimately the decisions have always been yours. And so any valid choice that you have made, and every valid step that you have taken, and every major decision that you made that made you move into your life to get to this point was all you, always you. And there's a sense of emboldening that comes with this, a sense of really feeling like you are rooted in who you are and you can do anything. And this is the direction that any work that you are working on right now, this is the direction that you are going in. I feel that the thing that's going to kind of have you working on that process of shedding the skin is recognizing that the decisions and choices that you have made have always been in and of you. And that is where your root is, as far as this work, and as far as getting really rooted and embracing yourself, and just being able to move on and build this thing that you're dreaming about. There's a vision that you have, and that's what the World card has to do. There's a vision of something that's out there that's so close, and you feel that it's possible, but you just are questioning aspects of it as far as decisions and feeling emboldened to make them. And this process that you're going to be experiencing in the coming days is really going to help you feel that emboldened, feel that being rooted, and being able to really just take it on and move forward. All right, that is all I have for you for group number 3. I hope this reading was everything that you were hoping for and more, and hopefully I will see you in a future video.